Welcome to the NSIC Friday Flashback. Today we are joined by 2015 NSIC All-Tournament team member Riley Hanson of Concordia-St. Paul. Riley, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we go back to the year 2015, Concordia-St. Paul, a volleyball powerhouse, which won the first three NSIC volleyball tournaments from 04 to 06, had not won a tournament in 7 years. That streak ended in 2015, but it wasn't easy. You guys were the #1 seed in the regular season champion, but went to 5 sets in both the quarterfinals against 8th-seeded Minnesota State and the semifinals versus 5th-seeded Minnesota Duluth. That was your junior season. Tell us what you remember about those opening round matches.
Yeah, well, we knew going into that tournament that, it's always going to be tough, but it's historically known that UMD and Minnesota State are our top rivals in the conference. And so playing them back to back, first round, second round was tough. It was tough for us. And, just kind of how tournaments are usually set up. We usually would only have to play one of them or, in the championship, let alone having to play both of them right away. So it really made us fight for it. And luckily we were able to pull it off. So.
Like I said, you're the regular season champions. You went 18-2 and earned the #1 seed and the right to host throughout the tournament. Tell us the atmosphere of playing in the NSIC tournament and what it meant to play in your home court.
Yeah, well, the atmosphere of the NSIC just in general is so competitive, extremely competitive. And that's what I really loved about playing at Concordia, was that just the conference itself was so strong and you had to show up for every single game. And so being able to host on the home court at Concordia is just priceless. And so getting used to the gym is such a big factor going somewhere else. And so it's really nice to be able to stay in your home gym, have your own routine, and of course being able to have our Concordia fans there is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, advantage.
All right, so you made it through the semifinals, knocking off Minnesota Duluth, and you take on Winona State in the championship match. The Warriors are the 6th seed in the tournament, but that doesn't mean much in the NSIC tournament. They were one of 2 teams to defeat you during the regular season. They knocked you off 3-1 earlier in the season. What do you remember leading up to the championship match?
Yeah, so leading up to the championship match, I think I remember 2 things specifically. One was we knew that we had the opportunity to put ourselves in a really good position to be able to host the regional tournament if we did win this game. And so I think that was something that we really wanted to be able to do. And so coming into this game, we knew that was at stake. And as well, as you mentioned, they were one of our 2 losses so far in that season. And so this game was particularly exciting for us because when we played them, it wasn't our shining moment, I can definitely remember. And so we were excited and fired up to face them again and hopefully be able to have a different result this time.
Yeah, and you guys came out firing, taking the first 2 sets, 25-19, 25-20. The duo of Emma Lang and Anna Piaski were dynamic as they each put up 20 kills in the match that day. What do you remember about their play during the match?
Well, Emma and Anna were just 2 very consistent players for us, both offensively and defensively. Offensively, they were just powerhouse hitters on opposite sides of the net. And so they really worked to split the opposing team on their defense and their block. It really creates big openings for us offensively. And defensively, Anna and Emma were notorious on our team for being the biggest just brick wall blocks for us. And so me as a middle blocker, I always said that I felt really safe when they were in the front row with me, because I knew that, for whatever reason, if I couldn't get to the block, I knew that they were just fine without me, and they saved my butt on numerous occasions. So they were particularly good in that tournament. And just as a team, I think that season was up and down for us. And so with this tournament in particular, it really allowed us to kind of get back into our groove for the postseason play.
You were up 2-0 in the match. Winona State rallies back and takes the 3rd set 25-21. You had 14 kills yourself in the day, and the Golden Bears roar back to get out to a 20-11 lead in the 4th set. You finished the match off with a kill from a set from Casey Williams. Talk us through that play and what you were feeling after you secured the win.
Well, game point just in particular, of course, is very nerve-wracking because nobody wants to screw that up. So whenever it's game point, there's always just two things going through my head. It's just get it past the blocker and get it in the court. And so those are the two things that are running through my head as I, ran that slide behind Casey for that final hit. And luckily I was able to get it in past the block and was able to secure that win. And securing that win and getting that championship really allowed us to accomplish those two goals that I referred to earlier, is just putting us in a really good position for the regional tournament and, getting a better outcome against Winona and being able to get that title back for Concordia.
So you kind of answered it there, but winning the NSIC tournament, was that one of your goals? You guys hadn't won in years going into that season. Tell us a little bit more about what it meant to win the NSIC tournament that year, more personally.
It felt so good. It really did. It was kind of funny because it was actually a running joke a little bit with the parents. The parents, they would always joke with us that, well, you guys can win everything else, but this NSIC tournament, for some reason, we just can't pull it through. So they would always joke with us about that, but it felt really good to finally just bring that tournament title back home to Concordia. And it had been too long since we had gotten that. So it was very exciting.
So how has competing in the NSIC and at Concordia-St. Paul helped prepare you for life after college?
Yeah, and like I said earlier, the NSIC specifically, and I can only speak for volleyball, of course, but it's incredibly strong, and it truly forces you to show up every day, every practice, because if you don't, somebody's right there to take over your spot and another team is right there to win. And so competing in the NSIC really provided me with that work ethic and the strength and the tenacity, that mentality that absolutely translates to my life right now. Being a student athlete in general, you just have a lot going on. You are busy, and you are absolutely forced to create organized chaos for yourself. And this directly translates to my schooling now. I'm in dental graduate school at the University of Minnesota, and in dental school, there's a lot going on and infinite things to organize. And so being a student athlete at Concordia absolutely translates to what I'm doing now. And developing and implementing those traits and lessons that I learned are arguably, I would say, the most valuable assets that I learned and brought into my success now in dental school.
So you went on to finish your career with another NSIC Tournament championship in 2016. You went on to win the regional and the NCAA National Championship. That year in 16, you were also named the COSADA Academic All-American of the Year. What advice would you give to current student athletes after all your success?
I would say that my biggest piece of advice for current student athletes is to honestly take care of yourself. And, this can mean so many things and everybody's different. But, I think in general, two main categories for student athletes in particular are, taking care of yourself physically and mentally. And physically, as a student athlete, it's not exercising, because we get enough of that. It's more of it's the rest, and it's the recuperation, and it's focusing on what you eat. We know that food heals, and how much sleep are we getting, and rest that we need. And then arguably the most important, mentally, I think thankfully that this is less of a stigma now than it was, mental health. And being a student athlete is so demanding and stressful, and it can be overwhelming at times. And so, taking care of yourself mentally, whatever that looks like for you, creating time for yourself, doing things that bring you genuine joy, and surrounding yourself with good quality people. And I think especially in the times that we're in right now, taking care of ourselves is absolutely huge, and you have to be your own biggest advocate, and because nobody knows you better than you. So that's my advice.
That's great advice. You mentioned what you're up to now in dental school at the University of Minnesota. Tell us a little bit more about that and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah. So I am currently in my last year of dental school of 4 years. So it's been a long haul, but I'm excited to be in my last year. And we are projected to graduate this coming May. So as of May, I will be officially a dentist, and I am looking to become a private practice owner in rural northern Minnesota. That's the overall goal. So.
Outstanding. Well, best of luck to you as you finish up dental school. Obviously, you had a great career and you're continuing that into your graduate work at dental school. We want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. That was the NSIC Friday Flashback. We'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.